contrast, my answer could be short, and I could just say no. So I will expand. I will expand. This October 22nd, will be my 35th year in the law. I started in, none of you look surprised, which is I started in 1984, and I started in a really unconventional way. But if you track my career, you'll see that during my career I've actually gone to the heights of the House of Lords, and I've won there. I've run some of the biggest class actions in the country, including Jimmy Savile. But here's the reality: if I was to knock on the door of a legal law office now to try and get a job, just based on the qualifications that I had when I entered the profession 35 years ago, it would still be a struggle. And it would still be a struggle because I didn't go to university, I don't have a degree. And if you go to university and get a degree, then it's still going to be a first or a 2-1 in many places. And if you have a filtering process where you say that the people we want, the talent has to have a first or a 2-1, then you're excluding a large number of people who are very much like me, who can enter the profession, do an extremely solid job, whose journey will have been very, very significant because their starting point was different, and they are excluded from the profession. The profession still has these barriers that makes it very difficult for people to be socially mobile. And if I take that question head on, what I would say is this: if you look at diversity, this room is a diverse room. And if you look at the bar is becoming increasingly diverse. The percentage now, if you look at the percentage of ethnic minorities in the bar, it's often reported, it certainly was in the last report, at around 14%. And people applaud themselves, and they say 14% is a national average, we're doing very well. Well, the reality is that in London, that's nowhere near the national average. It's far more significant. So if you look at it in pockets in London, there's a massive underachievement. And actually nationally, the reality is that 14% tends to be made up of those from ethnic minority backgrounds who tend to be fairly strong academic achievers anyway. So if you take people from my background, and if you look at all of the reports that have been on it, whether it be the Hill and Divided Britain, you will see that there are certain people from certain groups for social reasons that tend to do less well. And the reality is that it is those people like me who often do not get an opportunity to enter a profession like this because we don't have those conventional qualifications or the recognised level of passing a degree to be given the opportunity to enter the profession. So I'm always very mindful that when we look at the data around ethnic minorities, that we actually break it down and look within the groups of ethnic minorities to make sure that those groups that tend to do less well are being given opportunities to progress. And I include in that particularly those from Black Caribbean backgrounds, because they're the ones who often are let down through the schooling system. The Mary Seacole Trust made history because we unveiled the first statue of a main black female in the UK. And it was important because actually in many ways she represents the NHS. The NHS is one of the largest employers of ethnic minorities in the world. And yet if you look at the workforce at a level below management, very significant, around 44-45%. At management level, those that are directors at trust, the numbers from ethnic minorities are tiny. And that's what gave rise to the seminal piece of work by Roger Klein called The Snowy White Peaks of the NHS. We are still finding that even if you can access professions, we are not making it to leadership positions. And the bar has that same problem, because if you look at the number of pupils coming in from ethnic minority backgrounds, then look at the number of non-QCs, you will see that they may be representative of that dreaded national average that I mentioned. When you get to QC level, suddenly there is a change yet again, and we do not have the same proportional number of ethnic minorities. Now, the statue took 14 years to achieve. So it's a community statue. The community came together to raise the money. But what prompted it was quite interesting, because in 2004 there was the BBC's Greatest 100 Britons. And in that 100, that list of 100, there was one ethnic minority. And that person was Freddie Mercury, which caused a lot of people to scratch their heads. And so Patrick Vernon decided there should be an alternative, which was the 100 greatest black Britons. And Mary Seacole was the number one. And there followed then a campaign for a statue of Mary Seacole, which was unveiled. And I became the chair, and I was determined that we could use her story to inspire and promote the values of equality, which includes social mobility. And the way to do that was twofold, really. One was to take on the challenge of the workforce and society more generally, and racism which exists within society. So we commissioned a literature review, and that review confirmed all the things we already knew, that there were issues particularly around diversity at leadership level. And we also established an education program which comprises of mainly 13 and 14-year-olds, and they tell us of the problems that exist today. And when I told them my achievements without telling them my qualification, I asked how many of them thought they could be lawyers, and very few of them put their hands up. But when I told them my background, boy from Mitcham, didn't go to university, etc., and what I'd achieved, all of a sudden they said, actually, perhaps we can, because they could see a role model, they could see somebody who'd already achieved a certain level of success. But one of the challenges that young people talk about is the way the media portrays certain aspects. And the reality is, if you look at the Notting Hill Carnival, for example, and how that's portrayed often not as a festival of celebration, but a place which is likely to attract crime. And the same levels of crime exist at Notting Hill Carnival as they do at Glastonbury. But look at how Glastonbury is reported, and young people can see that. If you look at the recent events with Naga Manchati, it was a very simple issue. She was asked a question, she was her authentic self, and she gave a response. And the BBC said it was okay to talk about somebody being racist, but you couldn't call them a racist. Well, she was bringing her experience to the table as a person of colour. And it's important that we can do that we can all have these open discussions. That's why I commend Old Square Chambers, by the way, for putting on this event. So in answer to your question, yes, there's been some slight progress in that we all understand the importance of diversity. There has been some progress in that we are seeing more and more prominent people in certain positions. But we need to drill down on that and make sure that diversity and inclusion also includes social mobility.
Thank you very much.